I have collected all of the most popular black fineliner pens I could think of from all the most popular companies, the ones that I see people using all the time. In my Patreon community recently, we were talking about how some of the pens claim that they won't smudge and fade and get messed up when you color over them, but they still do. So we're gonna get to the bottom of it today. What I have here are Stedler, how do we say that? I don't know. Anyway, Stedler, that's how I'm gonna say it. We have Stedler pigment liners. We have Tombow mono drawing pens. We have, of course, Micron pens. We have Ohuhu's fine line drawing pens, and we have Unipin fine line drawing pens. These are the ones that, like, time after time you see people using. Now, all of these come in a whole bunch of different sizes, and you can buy them in different sizes of sets, obviously, as well. But to make things even, I'm going to grab the same size from all of these pens. So all of them have a 01, a 03, and a 05. So I'm going to grab that out of each of these packs. Okay, so I've got all the same sizes in all the different lines of pens, and now I want to talk about how I'm going to test them. So on the packages of all of these, they pretty much all say that they're waterproof, that they are smooth, skip-free, no smudging, dries instantly. So they're all supposed to stand up well to being erased over, being even added water over, and coloring over, all the things you want to do when you have a fine liner black pen, if you're a crafty, creative person like me. So I'm going to test them all on just this smooth Bristol paper. This is just like a Strathmore Bristol. I have a Tombow brush pen that I'm going to draw over them with. I have a paintbrush and water that I'm going to add water over them with. And I have an eraser that I'm going to try erasing over them with. So we're going to see what happens with each of these. And basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little line with each one. So we're starting with the Tombow mono drawing pen. Actually, I'll write the name of it up here first. And as I write the name, I'm just kind of playing with the pen, drawing some lines and seeing. It feels nice. Feels nice in my hand so far. So I'm gonna do the 01, the 03, and the 05. And I'm just writing on my natural angle right now, which is kind of like a 45 to the page. And the reason I'm saying that is because sometimes I notice, and I might notice it with some of the other ones, that when I draw on that angle, the pen tip doesn't work super well. I've noticed that with different fine liners before. So I'm just gonna keep my hand on my main angle and make sure that it works. And if it doesn't, obviously I'll take note. So the Tombow mono does work on that angle for me. Now I'm gonna grab the Stedler. Okay, right away I'm kind of noticing that the ink on that one looks a little less dark than the Tombow. I'm actually gonna zoom in my camera a bit here so that hopefully you guys can see it a little better too. The Tombow ink is a little darker than the Stedler right off the bat. And I'm just, again, on my normal angle. So that's the 01, the 03. Fun fact, these pens are what I used a lot in university for drafting architectural plans. So I'm pretty familiar with these, or at least I was. Okay, those ones seem to work on my angle. And if you look at these back to back, I mean, they look pretty identical at this point. Okay, now let's move on to Micron. Okay, I'll give it to Micron right away. It looks the darkest. Okay, 01, 03, 05. Now let's do Ohuhu. I also just really like saying Ohuhu. This one feels the biggest in my hand so far, which for me, that's not my favorite. I like it a little bit smaller, but we'll see how the marker itself performs. Ooh, we had a skip. Our first skip on the page. And this tip is like really flimsy. I'm heavy-handed. I write really hard. And immediately that tip is bent. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but that's a bad start. Okay, the 0-1, the 0-3, which the 0-3 in the Ohuhu looks more like a 0-5 on the rest. And the 0-5. Okay, those tips didn't bend when I pushed on them. I think it was just the delicate 0-1. So interesting. Okay, now we're gonna do the uni pin. This one feels the most delicate, like the most light in my hand is what I mean. Okay, so at a glance, it looks like they're all pretty similar. All the line weights look pretty similar. The darkness of the black looks pretty similar. I would say some of them, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but some of them look a little darker than others. Uni Pen and Micron actually might be the darkest, the most opaque. Ohuhu the least. Now let's test it out with a marker over top. So they've had a tiny bit of time to dry. So let me just kind of smudge the marker. All right, the Tombow smudges. Not a ton, but enough. The Staedtler doesn't smudge, but it lightened. The line is not so visible underneath that anymore. The Micron, a little bit of smudging, not a ton, not as much as the Tombow, but still a little bit. Ohuhu, no smudge. No smudge and little fade, just a little bit of fade. The Uni, a little bit of smudge. Okay, interesting. So I would rate that Staedtler did not do very well with that test. It really faded under the marker. It didn't super smudge, but it faded a lot. The other ones were pretty tied for the amount of smudge, except for Ohuhu, didn't really smudge at all. So I would give it to Ohuhu for the best marker underneath. Now let's try erasing. I'm gonna try and erase that second line. Tombow unaffected. I'm pressing the same amount of pressure on each one for the record. Staedtler faded. Micron, maybe it faded a little, not a ton, not enough to be noticeable in my opinion. Ohuhu unaffected, and Uni totally unaffected. So I'd say most of them, no problem with erasing except for Staedtler. And now let's try with water. Just adding a little water to this paintbrush, painting over top of the Tombow. Nothing happens. Okay, Tombow's good. Not smudging. Staedtler, not smudging. Micron, not smudging. Ohuhu, not smudging. Uni, it's picking up a bit of the Uni here. That is getting a little dark, that water, but it's not smudging. It's just kind of picking up a little bit of the ink in the water. Okay, so we've tested the line weights. We've tested if they draw on the right angle. We've tested if they go under marker and smudge, if they erase, and if they hold up to water. Now we're kind of at a point where I can kind of narrow it down to which ones are my favorites so far with those tests. I'm gonna say that Staedtler is out and Ohuhu is out. Staedtler faded too much. Ohuhu had a bendy tip on the Fineliner, which I wasn't a fan of, and the weight of the marker, the thickness of the marker wasn't my favorite in my hand. It held up pretty well to being erased and being to putting water over top of it. But when you look at them here, I hope you can tell on camera, but you can tell immediately that a few of the other ones are darker and like are a little bit more opaque. So I'm gonna eliminate Ohuhu and Staedtler, and we're gonna move on to the next test, which is trying each of the remaining ones on watercolor paper. I kind of want to see how they draw on watercolor paper and then also how they hold up. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw a little flower with each one because that feels a little more fun than just little scribbles. I mean, this is kind of a scribble flower. Just kind of trying to see if any of them skip on the paper because watercolor paper has more grit, more tooth, and you would think that at some point they might, oops, that's not mono. I need to stop talking while I draw. There you go. Okay. But all of these feel good on watercolor paper, honestly. They're not like really skipping. If anything, honestly, the line weight kind of looks like the micron is the least dense. I'm running out of words to say like thickness and darkness and whatever, but it kind of looks like the Tombow or the micron pen skipped a little tiny bit in some of these spots. I'm not sure how closely you can see that on camera, but anyway. And now I'm going to color it in. I'm going to put a little bit of color in the edges here and see if we're getting any smudge, which we are a little bit on the mono pen. It's pulling some of the ink into the green. And then I want to add water and smudge it all out and see what happens. If it fades the marker or if the marker kind of gets wrecked. So the black of the marker is kind of muddying everything up a little bit here. But it's not terrible. It's not terrible. So now let's try, I'm just gonna clean the marker off. Okay, now let's try the micron, doing the same thing. The micron is definitely pulling ink off of the pen and smudging it up. So now let's add the water and see what happens. Yeah, this is not, the marker is not holding up, or the pen is not holding up. I hope you can see this on camera. See how the mono pen is still green? The micron pen has made the green like muddy and black, not holding up. So let's try the uni. Look at the way that the marker on the pen on the uni held up better to water than the micron. And same with the mono, the Tombow pen. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Most people love micron pens, including myself. I've never really thought to switch. It's just kind of, I've been loyal to micron for so long, but I'm kind of realizing that maybe these uni and mono pens are actually a little better for what I do sometimes. Okay, how else can I test these? Let's try doing a little bit of marker drawing down here. Okay, I just drew these flowers with the marker, the Tombow, like the green marker first, and then I put the mono, micron, and uni over top, and they all are created equal in that sense. I'm just skipping that part because it was not in focus on my camera, duh. And now I want to test putting a little bit of marker, water over top of each one and see which one holds up best. Okay, the mono is pretty unaffected. It's not muddying the water. It's not pulling the color of the black marker into the green. That is pretty unaffected by water entirely. Let's try it on the micron. You know what? Better than I thought it would be. It's also seeming pretty unaffected, but definitely a little grayer than the mono. And the uni is definitely dragging some ink too. So I would say in terms of being able to add water, the mono is the winner. So if we continue on with my rating system, when we did this test up here, I eliminated the micron. And then when we came down here, I eliminated the uni. which means the Tombow Mono is the winner based on these tests. I'm actually kind of shocked by that, I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, so let's be honest, I didn't put these pens through like rigorous testing or anything, but based on what I found, I actually think that I would try moving to the Uni and the Tombow Mono pen for my next few projects. Like I said, I've been loyal to Micron for so long, and they work really well in most circumstances, but I have found that they definitely smudge under water, and sometimes they erase. If I'm trying to get pencil marks off, they'll erase a little bit and fade a little bit too much. So I'm actually really happy that I've done this test, because now I know that Uni and Tombow might actually be the better options for most of what I do. But realistically speaking, I mean, if you look at these comparisons, a lot of them are really similar and all of them are good markers. So I would say don't overthink it too much. If you can't find exactly what any of these brands are, like if you can only find one of them and not another, and it's not the one that I rated the highest, like don't overthink it. But I just wanted to kind of demonstrate that, you know, they're not all created exactly equal. They're all pretty close, but if I were to jump to a new ship, it would probably be the Tombow Mono and the Uni pen. Sorry, Micron, I still love you. It hurt, it feels like a breakup. It's not a full breakup. It's not you, well, it is you. It is you, it's not me. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope it helped you to kind of see the difference between them all and understand that even though they might say water and fade proof, sometimes they are not. So anyway, that's it. I'm gonna link you to another video I think you're gonna like, and I'll see you over there.